Started. And thanks so much, everyone, for joining today. I'll talk a little bit about Start Out, and then I'm going to kick it over to our great presenters today. So if this is your first Start Out event, we are a nonprofit organization accelerating the growth of LGBTQ plus community to drive economic empowerment. We want to build a world where every LGBTQ plus entrepreneur has equal access to lead, succeed, and shape the workforce of the future. And so far, since its founding, StartOut has helped over 1,800 companies raise over 1.5 billion in funding. And we do that through events like these, in-person events if you're in one of our chapter cities. We also have our founder program with access to capital resources, mentorship, expert office hours. And so if you haven't checked out those programs before or you want to sign up, you can just head to startout.org after this event, don't go right now, and sign up there and get connected to all those resources. And I'm super excited today that we have Brett and Ariel with us. They're going to be leading us through some holistic goal setting. I think this is perfect. We're still in the beginning of the year to set folks off on a great path for 2025. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over. We'll also have the chat open. You can drop questions in there, and then there'll be time for Q&A at the end. This is going to be super interactive, so feel free to come off mute for that. And yeah, Brett and Ariel, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here with this group.
Yeah, wonderful. And just super excited to jump right in with all of you right now.
Yeah, so we'll do our introductions here in a moment, but just to orient everyone. So our session today, Goals with Soul, goal setting that works. We're really trying to merge key core business concepts that are probably happening for a lot of you right now because it's January and we're getting to the start of annual years and all that. With really great holistic practices to feel better along the way while you're working towards these goals. We'll get into all this in a moment, but just on the front end, Ariel and I both get to work at that sweet spot of well-being and performance, as well as being entrepreneurs that are growing businesses. So this is a really cool space where we're going to bring a holistic view to some of the really core elements to getting into your business this year. So before we get started, just want to kind of lay some groundwork here. We've got 55 more minutes together. We're going to leave around 5 to 10 minutes at the end for some discussion, but the whole way through, if you want to interact, and please do, just use the chat functionality and we'll play off of that, but then we'll leave some time for more discussion at the end, and we're certainly available after this if there's anything you all want to talk more on.
So, and we'll prompt you guys probably a few times to drop things in the chat so that we can get an idea of where you guys are at with certain things and in terms of experience and things like that. So please do interact when you can.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. All right, so just a little more orientation. Ariel and I are going to do our introductions in a minute and tell you a little bit about our business, our work and Start Out, why we're here. And then we're going to go over some goal setting approaches, things that have worked well in the past, things that work better today. Then we told you we're holistic folks. We love tapping into the body. So Ariel's going to take us through a really cool visioning exercise that's going to link goal setting with really who you are as a person. And then at the end, we're going to hit on a framework that you can use to apply this goal setting in your personal life, in your business, really wherever it fits. And that's a key thing also, is this is for your whole life. So you can think about this from a personal and a well-being perspective as much as you're thinking about the success of your business. Right. So first introductions, I'm going to start and then hand it over to Ariel. My name is Brett Mackey. I'm the founder of Paradigm Rhyme, and we really focus on peak performance and well-being. So I work with individuals. Right now I'm sitting in a law office in downtown Chicago, and after this I'm going to be working with them on seasonal affective disorder and then doing a sound bath. So it kind of spreads the gamut, but Ariel and I specifically work together on some big how you change your business leadership training that we're going to be rolling out later this year. So we each have different companies, but we're business partners on a lot of our holistic endeavors. And I personally am a member of Start Out. I joined over the summer and quickly really expanded my network through the group. So this is my first time getting to bring a little bit of my service to share it back with the community. So just so stoked to be doing that. Ariel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much, Brett. So my name is Ariel, and I started out more in the corporate space. I was a CPA for several years, and then I kind of found my way after these deep depressions and anxiety, panic attacks, all these things from that environment, found my way into more of this like just being drawn to more of like a bigger impact in life, and how can I create more of a healthy like well-being centered lifestyle for myself. And then that got drawn to like sharing that and creating that for others in new spaces. So yeah, I have a transformational services, like kind of human wellness business as well, and I also have a like a wellness retreat that that's located internationally. And here in this space, like, yeah, like Brett actually introduced me to Start Out, and I'm just like overjoyed to be in a community and in a space right now where it's, you know, LGBTQ supporting each other and showing up for one another, and also like being able to bring in this piece of the human wellness into this space and share that with you guys.
Amazing. And I think a last piece to sort of play off of there and segue us forward. Entrepreneuring, like all of us get this on the call. It's really hard. And when I left the corporate world, there was that time period of like so excited for freedom, so excited to be doing things my own way. Uh, and then fairly quickly, I realized that it can be just as tough and stressful, miserable if you let it be on this side as it is when you're part of like a big system. However, over on this side, we have the opportunity and the ability to set the tone for ourselves and our teams, decide who we're going to partner with, choose to not take on the stressful baggage that seemed to like so often be part of my life when I was a consultant. And so everything we're talking about here today and on the goal setting, it isn't to say any way you're doing it right now is wrong if we introduce something different. It also isn't to say that everything we talk through is like the perfect way to goal set. But because each of you get to control your business now and the tone and the direction of it, these are ideas that we would like to encourage you to think about for both your business and your personal life. Because again, it's like we have all the business success in the world and we don't feel good along the way, then it's wasted success. So we're just all about how to feel good and be productive while you're reaching your goals. Ariel and I actually just talked about what we do, so I'm gonna skip through this slide because we've already really hit on it and get into the core of our goal setting conversation. All right, so first piece here, traditional goal setting has been really valuable to the business community as a whole, in big corporations, also down in small businesses when we're starting something new. There's three types of goals that we've seen a lot of that have worked well in the past that are kind of starting to evolve past their really useful date. So first one, when we think of object goals, these are like common traditional goals where it's like a specific outcome, like I'm going to hit this revenue target, I'm going to bring on this number of investors, I'm going to release a prototype of a product. It's very specific and tangible. And object goals help people learn to commit to something. So they've played a really positive role in the past. Then there's SMART goals. I'm guessing most of us have at some point or another worked with the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound mode. It really helped bring measurement into goal setting. It helped create accountability around like specifically what we're going to do and being able to achieve that outcome. So SMART goals have played a big role in the past really couple decades. And then top
And
down.
which makes a lot of sense too, right? Because we've been so, especially in the last few decades, we've been so like humanity has been so like putting our heads down and focused on like producing, achieving, and like go, right? So having these SMART goals that are like so specific and like let's just push and get to this mark, you know, it's like it's been very appropriate for the times.
Absolutely. And we've seen the exponential growth that we've experienced for large periods of time here. Last piece here, top down. So I think a lot of us are familiar, but idea is the executive team, the leadership sets a standard and then pushes it down into the organization. It's good for keeping everyone moving, in a similar direction, for having some consistency. Good for order in the sort of command and control mode of corporate America that was really in place in like the 80s, 90s, and into the early 2000s. Like this was sort of the norm, cascading goals down. So served a purpose, helped with strategy. As we transition forward here, feel free to like share any reflections or any experiences you've maybe had with one of these goal types. We're now going to kind of look at the other side of it though, which is what are some of the limitations to this common approach to goal setting?
And if you've had any limitations, for example, if you've had any experiences that you may relate to in some of the things we're going to cover right now, please drop it in the chat so we can kind of get some frame of reference.
Thank you. Yeah, so these traditional approaches, each one of them has sort of like built-in stumbling patterns that are pretty common. So with the object goals, there actually is a tendency to drive the incorrect behavior. If everyone's focused on some revenue target and that revenue target becomes what you're trying to get towards, and you lose view of the strategy that was behind it, you can get in a scenario where you actually like achieve the goal, but don't get the outcome you were hoping for. And there's like so many different examples of this. And this also is really relevant to like how you incentivize people. And you can unintentionally have everyone incentivized and focused on hitting some specific goal that gets hit, but doesn't actually create the value you're hoping for. Now, on the SMART goal side of things, it's a very similar thing that can happen where by being so intentional about achieving the SMART goal that has a measurement to it, that has a certain frame for it, that has a commitment to it, uh, you really get good at maybe getting to that goal or seemingly measuring it on paper, but you aren't necessarily thinking about exponential growth and all the potential you could have because you're in something that's so measurable and time bound. You have a tendency to get very linear about achieving the certain measurements along the way, but can miss the broader purpose behind your organization or like why your team exists in the first place. So there's a very like tunnel vision effect that can occur with SMART goals when they're just on their own.
Yeah, and like Cindy said over here, like that'll just drive you into burnout as well, right? When you have that deep tunnel vision and are ignoring maybe even just like the basic signs of your body for like rest and connection and things like that, leading yourself to burnout.
And thank you for bringing that up and a good build off of what she shared there. SMART goals tend to have these like broad time horizons on them. You like commit to a big program or to some set of investors. Sometimes these are for a whole year. Whatever that element is, have a tendency to get really locked in on the time. And like imagine all the SMART goals that were put in place during the 6 months before the pandemic that like just had no relevancy after we went through that shift as a society. So being more in just a continual adjusting, we'll get to actually the solution piece of this goal setting. So last item to avoid here on the top down goals, there's a tendency for it to become something that actually separates leadership from the folks below them when it's just flowing one direction. The lower levels don't necessarily feel the same type of ownership of the outcomes. If there's not a clear purpose tied into them, then it's just kind of like you're being told what to do without the real why behind it. So I think taken together, these object goals, the SMART goals, and the top down goals, they've all had a place in business. They've all helped things improve in many ways over the course of the many decades they've been in place. But all of them are having a tendency to fall short now. And there's some better approaches that you can work into your goal setting. So we're going to talk one more just info slide here, and then we'll start to pause into some more introspection and get towards exercise. But this concept of a better way to set and achieve goals, we really have three key areas that we want to focus in on for today. So the first one is this concept of feelings goals. And it's a little counterintuitive, us, like in the kind of Western world, very numbers driven, and we're trying to like hit specific numbers for our investors, et cetera. But feelings goals really says take a step back and focus on your emotion. Like, how do you want to feel when you've achieved this goal and along the way to getting there? What is the actual purpose for your organization? What customer base are you serving? What is your mission? What problem are you solving? And how are you going to feel when you achieve those things? The idea is feelings goals are pretty sustainable over time. They could be about things around like you might want to feel creativity and able to launch things new in the market. Like that might be like a real feeling that's important to you. That is an enduring goal. It could be things around freedom. It could be things around being able to, authentically be yourself. They're all different like routes, but having that feeling piece as the base for the goal setting.
Yeah, like feeling supported, feeling like it's easy.
Yes. So then next piece, and if it's so well with the feelings, is mission and vision driven. So it can be hard in a entrepreneurial world to, it's like you set the initial mission, vision, values, that kind of thing for the organization, and then you get off running. And I've worked with entrepreneurs who are like constantly back in that mission and vision, and it's really like driving their strategy. And sometimes it kind of gets like, set over there on the desk or, on the shelf, and you kind of forget about it for a while. It's so important to have this like in the core of how we work on a week to week basis and set our goals around it. So if your mission is providing a specific service that doesn't exist today to a customer base that needs it, like really setting the goals around that as well. So you're anchored in purpose, your focus stays long term, like your tactics along the way might change, but you really have a consistent mission that's rooted in your values, and you have that ongoing direction and clarity. And then last piece I'm going to share here before we do a quick little pause, objectives and key results, or OKRs. It's become a very mainstream way of doing goal setting and realization of goals. I believe it was Google who started it about a decade-ish ago. But there's a reason it's become so preeminent, and we think it fits really well with the broader holistic approach to goal setting. So by having high level objectives, which really align in with your mission and vision, the idea is that it's both top down and bottom up. So teams are providing input onto objectives. Leadership is working with them. And so we're like really clear on the direction we're headed. And then there's a not too long time horizon where you're revisiting your objectives and making sure they're still aligned with the mission, still aligned with the vision. But with the objectives in place, it's then up to the other teams, the other people in the organization to say, what are my key results to get us to that objective? And so the key results gets to like the more specific actions, items along the way that feed up to that objective. And throughout all of this, you can be really trying to have like a feelings basis into it, ensuring that it continues to be mission and vision driven.
And a way that you can kind of look at like the key results piece is like Brett said, like there's this overarching purpose and vision and like where we're trying to get to. And the key results is like that step by step, the tangible things you're going to be doing, similar to like the smart goals that we were talking about before. But whereas now it's like you have this greater, broader vision that you're working towards, and purpose and feelings goal. And those smart goals almost that you're trying to create are just those tangible step by steps to try and help you to reach there.
Amazing. All right.
If you guys had like, if this is new to you, for example, like these concepts like feeling goals and things like that, can you drop a yes in the chat just so that we have like a little bit of an idea? Okay, we got several yeses. Okay, great. Thank you all so much. That's wonderful. Yeah, and new for the workspace specifically. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, familiarity with the OKRs is also common here. Brett, do you want to go through this example, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can go through it. So
Okay.
we were really just talking through examples of each of these, but if you're thinking of traditional to holistic, a traditional goal might look like the left side here, that's very specific about hitting a certain percentage of web traffic over the course of a period of months using search engine optimization. And there's probably a lot of greatness in that goal, but as you see, it's very specific. There's a whole lot of ways one could fail it, and you also might accomplish that. But is the point of is web traffic the point, or is revenue the point, or it's like there's ways you might meet that goal and also be falling short. Whereas the holistic approach really focuses in on wanting to create this authentic online presence that attracts customers. And then it uses methods like SEO. And the goal here is long-term growth over the next year. So you can see where there's like a feeling element into it on, a week-to-week basis. You'd be able to understand how you were living into this. And then there's also a lot of flexibility in the goal. You might end up still having like a actual number target that goes with it, But the point here is that you're creating an authentic online presence that attracts customers, as opposed to just driving the 20% of web traffic.
And just for like perseverance purposes, like a beautiful thing here is from this in the holistic on the holistic side, it's like you can't really fail, right? Whereas on the traditional side, it's like, all right, if I don't meet this goal 20% in the next 6 months, I failed. There's no, it's just fail or no fail, which is just going to hinder you from like moving forward through because of like motivation and things like that.
And I think a last piece here, the bottom of the slide mentions that the illusion of time causes so much wasted energy. Like in my own life, but in like so many people I've worked with and know, like the amount of stress and angst and rework that goes into, oh, we said that something was going to happen by a certain date, and like by God, it's got to happen by then. And when that date doesn't matter, just like arbitrary deadlines, like there's a place where that stuff does fit, but we've just found so much angst, frankly, being brought into business that like when you teach folks to kind of work it out, it doesn't have to be there. So we really wanted to come like call that out with the goal setting piece of like, yeah, you have time commitments, but there's a tendency to way overdo it on commitments, and flexibility works better for you. And it's also realistic. It's like a project will, like I've seen projects change their launch date 20 times over the course of 6 months, and there's stress out of every one of them when there could have just been a flexibility at the front end to understand like we had things to learn that are going to impact, the launch date.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nico. And like Nico's saying here, it's like this is a part of like the holistic goal setting approach as well. As like we don't look at things as failure, right? We look at everything just as an experience. It's like this is something that I experienced and I learned a lesson from it that I can like utilize in the future, right? That's a great way of looking at it for more useful outcomes. Growth mindset, right? Thank you, Joel.
All right, Ariel, pass it your way.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much, Brett. So I'm really excited to take us through this. So as we shared at the start, like we are a performance company and we also focus on well-being. So as you see, like the goal setting approach that we're presenting here, it is different. It's holistic and it's also effective for both you as like your business, but also for you as an individual. And goal setting based based on like how you want to feel as you pursue your goals rather than just on the external outcome of like what do I want to achieve, right? It also means that we have to approach the creation of these goals a little bit differently. So part of what that is we're going to be tapping into like who you are as a human and tapping into the feelings and desires that you may not normally tap into on a regular like on a normal basis. And you may like we haven't really been taught how to do that, since childhood, many of us. It's like we kind of just focus on the external world and what's happening out here instead of focusing on maybe what's going on inside. So we're going to be taking you through a practice today that might be new for some of you, but one that we find is really impactful for our clients. And it may be helpful for you to find some goals inside that you might not have known or even there. So will whatever comes up for you throughout this visioning exercise is what we'll kind of pull that through through the rest of this presentation as well. It'll be some meditation and some visualization, and we'll be like closed eyes if it feels comfortable for you for about like 7 to 10 minutes. And whenever you're done, yeah, please share with us in the chat what came up for you. Because yeah, we'd love to hear like kind of feedback from each of you how it went, and also so everyone else can kind of share and learn from each other what we're all kind of envisioning towards. All right. So I'm going to invite us all to maybe just if you're seated up or whatnot and you have like a backrest, just allow yourself to get a moment of like comfort in just feeling seated. And if it feels comfortable for you, just allow your eyes to come to a close here. And taking an inhale fully into your belly, your chest, and your shoulders, like filling it all up. And exhaling through pursed lips like you're blowing through a straw. Just releasing any tension or anything you brought with you here today. And then I want to invite you to move your awareness down from like this head area space and down into your chest, where your heart is. And let's take a few breaths in and out of this heart space. So allowing your heart to expand as you inhale and contract as you exhale. Just a few of those heart-centered breaths at your own pace. And here we'll invite in what's called an existential comfort. So something that's a truth to you, something neutral, something that you can relax into and like a safe and happy place. It can be something like the beauty of nature or the brilliance of the cosmos, the universe, God, the 50 trillion cells in your body supporting you in every moment. Just relaxing into that comfort. And now we'll envision from this space of safety and comfort, what does a future where you live as the best version of yourself look like? Or if you have a business, what would the best version of that business or project look like for you? And just noticing what comes up without judgment, without trying to change anything. And really live it in this moment. And if in your envisionments right now you notice any tangible goals or tangible results or material things arising, just drop all of that and notice what remains. Go to the feeling that remains. How does the best version of yourself feel as that future in your life or business? And now move your awareness down into your body. What do these feelings or emotions feel like in your body? What kind of energy do you feel? Is there like maybe there's a color or a shape or a texture? Like notice where in the body specifically you feel it and what it feels like. What are the sensations? Are there vibrations? Is it glittery, shiny, radiant, tingly? and notice what it feels like to already have this right now, that it's already here. And you can begin deepening your breath, encouraging the inhale. Feeling the fresh air in your body. Feeling your feet on the ground beneath you. Maybe feeling the weight of your body in the seat you're on. And whenever you feel ready, you can gently allow your eyes to flutter open and allow the light to come back in. So as you're all welcoming yourselves back into this space together, I want to invite you to just drop in the chat what were maybe some of the core feelings that came up for you. Okay, feelings of calm, centered, grounded, positive. Those are absolutely feelings. Those are wonderful. Thank you for that. Like connection, relaxation, fun, loved, supported, warmth, golden yellow glow, openness, joyful enough came. Yeah, and like for example, this like golden yellow glow, right? Like that you want to do things and create and set goals and things that are going to bring that feeling, that golden yellow glow to you, right? Like what's going to bring that light there? Energized, laughter, color green and blue. I wanted to stay there. I know, me too. Amazing. Yes, you felt like living was good, and not because of external success, but from an internal inner knowing. Yes, peace of mind and so much joy. And so, yeah, Brett, that's great. You can hop onto that next slide.
All right.
And so this was a wonderful exercise. We're going to take these different feelings, these core feelings, and bring them with us throughout the rest of this presentation. But as we move back in, just want to point out something here that when we do this with our clients, there's kind of like a second piece to it that, we don't have enough time to cover everything here together today. But this is something that we want to invite you to maybe check in with yourself afterwards. Um, so to check in to see what's coming up for you, if what's coming up for you is what you truly want, like what you want. And it's an important piece to uncover and explore and and to like ensure that you're going to be going in the direction that's truly aligned with you. So if you see some things here, so like is what you're is what you're like broadly envisioning aligned with your true desires and dreams and beliefs about life? Or are they based on, your parents or your family or communities? Like for example, like when I was working in the corporate world initially, like as a CPA, it was like that was like my career path. My whole life I wanted to do that until I realized I was like, I'm chasing after my parents' dreams, not my own. And then it drew me into another path, right? Or like, are you choosing something because it's what you should do, or what you should be, and you're shoulding yourself? Like, example, like philanthropic things, right? Like oftentimes we're pressured, like if you don't do these philanthropic things, you're like selfish, but it's like do the things because you feel aligned to do them within yourself and not because you should. Or like, are you choosing something based out of fear, like the fear of being rejected or the fear of just going out of your comfort zone, right? So like you're choosing something to stay safe, or you're choosing something because you don't want to disappoint your family or whatnot. And the answer to all of these reveal like underlying limiting beliefs. So yeah, let's just get into that for just a moment. Limiting beliefs are kind of like programs and like our perceptions, like this lens that we wear. Um, and they hold us back from pursuing and achieving what we actually want in our lives. And most of them are developed like from childhood, even, from defining experiences or societal influences that we've had. And the really tricky thing about them is that they're subconscious most of the time, right? We're not aware of them consciously. In our minds we have this like image of ourselves and who we are in life, but like deep down we have these subconscious programmings that are built on past experiences. And when we're not aware of them, right, if we're not consciously aware of of that they're there, yet they're shaping how we behave, how we think, and how we feel. And so they're shaping our lives that are happening in front of us, right? And so they often cause us to behave in ways that like are not aligned with what we truly want and desire, and they lead us on a disadvantageous path for ourselves. So just a few of these like limiting belief examples here are like, fear of rejection, right? This is the one we just talked about. Like, if I don't do this thing, I'm not going to get approval from my family, right? Or self-worth, like I'm not good enough to do XYZ, right? These are just a few examples of like some kinds of limiting beliefs that we may even be in denial about some of them. We may just be like pushing them aside, but in order for us to achieve our goals, we often need to like uncover and remove these like obstacles, limiting beliefs that are there that can be hindering us from reaching those goals. Cindy says, yeah, we often push back those glimmers of contradictory thoughts and our own instincts or insights. Yes, and give them your attention. Don't be scared. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the work that Brett and I do with our clients is to remove these limiting beliefs in order to achieve this peak performance, like yeah, with individuals, but also in the corporate space with leaders and owners, and with the general employee population. And yeah, and just not being scared to give them attention. Exactly. But we do this work of like getting to the core and clearing them out so that we can align ourselves with what we truly want to achieve. All right, Brett, I'm going to hand this over back to you.
So good, and the chats have been giving me life too. So we're transitioning into this last stretch of our workshop for today, and then we got some time for discussion. I'll say as we get into the last piece, just seeing like the types of things that came up for folks during the exercise in terms of positivity, calm, playfulness, relaxation, openness, purpose, laughter, and it just kind of went on and on. If your goals right now aren't matching those things yet, like that's a great sign from yourself to like visit some of these goals. Like this is how you want to feel. So figuring out how all your other work fits into this context. So first piece here, and this is now getting us into the framework to apply in a flexible way what we've been teaching about holistic goals. So we did the exercise of tapping in. If you look at the left side of this slide, connecting into your vision, the people that you serve, really the why behind all this. So you're coming from this pure altruistic place. And then if you're thinking about like, where do you want to set goals? Like what types of goals to set? One way to do is look at 3 areas. Experience goals are things that you want to experience, either yourself or within your business. Growth goals are about the evolution, the transformation, the improvement, growing as a person or an organization. And then contribution is really like, how are you giving back? Like, how are you making an impact for your customers, for the people around you, whatever. So when if you're like, where do I even start with goal settings? Look at experience, growth, and contribution, and get a mix between those 3 areas. That's a great place to know, like, where do I even begin? And then with that baseline, you kind of know the direction you're headed. You can start to really get into both your feelings and your vision and come up with a set of goals that are going to be meaningful for, achieving some of these changes in life, but also feeling good, along the way to doing that. So an exercise we'd love to start with you right now, and this is something you can, continue on after today's session. Again, we're always happy to chat more as well. But think back to the exercise we just had, or better yet, feel back to it. And if you've got a piece of paper or at your computer or whatever, just note a couple of those core feelings that you felt during that. A couple of the ways that you really want to experience life yourself or within your business. And so with that feeling in place, then start to do some work where you connect it back into the broader mission or vision that you have for yourself or for your organization. And remember, like, values are part of the mission and vision conversation. So if we started with a feeling of, I really want to feel freedom, I want to feel security, I want to have that sense of protection and enablement, then it would be like, okay, how does that fit back into the mission of what I'm trying to accomplish with my business or life? And you might see that a key piece is going to be financial independency. Maybe you want to be able to invest in new products, whenever it feels right, or you want to have, like a legit R&D department, or you want to be able to adjust when the market changes from quarter to quarter. So for you, maybe that financial independency is like a key part of your vision. So you've got this feeling of freedom and security. It's going to be rooted in some way by being financially independent. And then you could get to the OKRs piece. So you think about like aligned outcomes, which are going to be like those objectives. So maybe you come up with a revenue model that will scale without requiring you to go and get new investment. So your objective is like, okay, if I've got a revenue model that allows me to scale without new investment, that's going to lead to financial independency, which is part of my vision, and that's going to leave me feeling free and secure. And I can work on that freedom and security feeling every day along the way while I move towards this goal. And then that would get you to the last row, which is that specific, it says daily action. It is daily action. It might look more like weekly in some cases. It could be more than daily, but this is that, like, getting down to those specific key results, those actual shifts in behavior. I'll share here. We're not bringing it into this conversation, but there's a book called Atomic Habits that's all about like the execution piece of this. And we like debated bringing it in, and now here I am. And I'll just tell you, if you're once it's like the goals is its whole piece, but then once you get these holistic goals in place and it gets down to the tactics, Atomic Habits is one of the ways of doing that, but there's a lot of ways you can execute on the daily action piece. Ariel, yeah, do you want to add some color here?
Well, one piece that I would just say here is like, let's say you're starting with the kind of almost like a material thing. Like, let's say you're starting with like, hey, I want to have a lot of money, like that's like that material thing is there. Then you can kind of like do basically the mission and vision is kind of like that might come kind of first. And then you can get to the feeling goal from there as well. So it's like, oh, I want to be financially independent. So it's like, well, what feeling would that bring for me? Right. And then so it can kind of guide you. So even let's say it's like, oh, I want this like big, beautiful house or this beautiful car, it's like, but what is the feeling that that material thing is trying to bring you, right? That's what you're really going after, is the feeling it's going to bring you.
Thank you, Ariel. And I think it's such an important call out is that these all play into each other. So this isn't like we do this, then this, and this. It's like we approach the feelings, we approach the mission visions, and we think of objectives and key results. You might actually start with more like an objective. Like you might start from a place of like some revenue growth that you want. What we're saying is don't just be like, oh, I need this revenue growth because it fits with my business model. Do the work to connect that revenue growth to the feelings, and you might realize that the feeling is more the goal than the growth itself. Make sure it connects into your vision and your mission. If it doesn't, then like there's a misalignment there. So it's like you kind of can like work through each of these as a filter to get to goals that really have that soulful element.
So before we open up to a little more Q&A, I just want to circle back to this idea that this is likely like, a new concept for many of us. But what we've been seeing in humanity right now is like we are kind of making a shift as humanity, right? Like we've been in this place of like human beings trying to become like the king of the world for the last, centuries. And we've been like producing and working and hard work and sacrificing and running ourselves to the ground. And now it's like, all right, we're here. We are king of the jungle. We've produced, we've created everything. And it's like now our goals have kind of shifted from like survival and production and procreation to this idea of like, hey, I have like new goals here. I want to be peaceful. I want to feel ease. I want to feel supported. I want to feel good in my life. Like I don't want to feel like life is so hard all the time or whatnot. So it's like, and that's bringing this call for like, all right, well then let's try something new. Let's try something different. Let's focus on this whole like different strategy for goal setting, even though it might seem so like abstract and woo woo or whatever, or like how is it actually going to get me to achieve anything? But we have seen that it works, and not just works at like the actual like production level, right? We are going to be like have great performance and be productive, but also at like, yeah, and then let's also feel good doing it. We're going to be productive. Okay, great, but let's feel good doing it too.
100%. Hey,
Mhm.
Ariel, wanted to add on here. Nico, I saw you put a couple great comments in here. I want to first here respond to the second one. So you asked for the mission vision, if it's like a single one for your business or if it could be multiple or many. And this is a very flexible thing for you, very personal. So definitely multiple or many. The more focused you are, the more you simplify it down. If you have a key statement that sort of encapsulates where you're focused, that can make it easier. But like, think about, organization like any department store, a Walmart, an online retailer. It's like they have like so many different purposes and products and things that they're serving. But ideally, they're getting it down to like the really core of like why they exist. Like I don't know Amazon's mission and vision offhand, but I'm pretty sure if I went and looked it up, it would be something like very straightforward about efficiency and getting people access to like what they need. So definitely you can have multiples, but simplifying will probably help you. All right, so we've got 10 minutes left. I think we had 3 key takeaways. Ariel, do you want to fire through these at the end, and then we'll tell folks so they can get in touch with us, and then
Okay, great.
yeah.
Yeah, so we just wanted to just, have those three things to remember from from this presentation that you can take away with you is one, like I was just sharing, like, yeah, take a look at your goals from this different paradigm, from this different perspective. And you know, the third one here is like just try it with even one goal. Like you don't have to make it so complicated and like, oh my God, like I have all these different areas and all these different things. Like just try it with even one goal and then commit to some small daily actions that you can do to help you to reach that. So it's like that's almost like that SMART goals piece, right? To like have those tangible results to kind of get you to that goal. And even if you want to just focus on just one feeling, right? And then focus on how you want to feel while you work or live, right? That's kind of like that exercise that we went through, that vision exercise. Focus on how you want to feel. And then, yeah, we'd love to, you guys can be in touch with us via here, our websites or emails and things. And also, yeah, it would be such a blessing to just like see how we can um, see how we can show up for you if after this too, like if you have any questions or like need some guidance or anything, like we're totally here for that. So please reach out, if we don't cover any questions that you may have like right now, or like as you're going through the creation process, if like a block or something arises, like, yeah, please do get in touch with us as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Ariel, and thank you all of you. I mean, we're all in this entrepreneur world together, and that mix of helping each other out and being scrappy. And
Yeah,
started out
scrappy.
incredibly great to us from the limited time so far. I forget the exact date, but I think in April we're gonna have another session like this that's gonna focus a little more on like stress management and working with your nervous system and some of that stuff. But yeah, we're just so happy to be a part of this community. If anyone has any questions, discussion, I think we've got 8 minutes left, and you're welcome to come off mute. Joel, I see you've got your hand up.
Even if it's like a person, if you're like working through your personal goal or whatnot to be created right now, and it's like you have a question even now on it, like, yeah, please feel free to bring that up with us as well. Okay. Joel.
Thanks, y'all. Thank you so much for this. I loved this perspective. It's something I try to go back to, but it can be so easy to kind of like lose the forest for the trees, and get caught up on like the kind of more OKR level of things and lose sight of the bigger picture. And I love the feeling piece. So yeah, thank you for that. I also want to share, do you know Danielle Laporte? She talks, the how do you want to feel? Yeah. Right. No, I don't know her, but her work is really good. And I have a little card on my desk that says, how do you want to feel, to help like bring me back to that.
If you read the Desire Map of her, have you?
Yeah, I have that. And fire starter sessions. And okay, I do have a question also. So big into goals. Do you know Benjamin Hardy? Not know, but like his stuff, Dr. Ben Hardy. So his book, and I recommend this very highly to everyone. He's like a straight white guy, so there's that. But he's got some good ideas. Anyway, the book is called 10x is easier than 2x. And in this book, he talks about impossible goals and the power of setting impossible goals as a way of changing the way you do things. Like the example you gave, which I know was just an example of like getting 20% more traffic. Like he would say, no, what 20%? That's just going to happen kind of organically anyway. Change the level of the goal. Go for like 200% more traffic, something that seems impossible. So it changes your entire approach to how you're thinking about solving the problem. And I found it so powerful in what I'm doing, but part of the challenge is like, and he talked about this, when you're doing that, there's a lot of times you're going to fall short, and like dealing with the mindset work around that. And like, even though you might still be going so much further, there is something that we want to like check the box of like, I did the thing that I set out to do. And so I guess that's my question of like, how do you reconcile setting a really big goal with also like feeling like you accomplished something, even if you didn't like quite get to whatever the like desired goal was?
Joel, I'll say first, like I love like you went to like there's so much behavior to unlearn in our lives, and the definition of success and failure, for any of us in this entrepreneur field, is just something to like reset for yourself. Like success is any time that you are moving towards a worthwhile or ideal. Pure stop. You're moving towards it. That's successful. And like you don't ever fail. Like when you don't hit the mark that you're expecting for, and you learn a thing from it, and you adjust course, like then you're just failing forward. Like for me personally, like failure is no longer a concept like whatsoever in life. Like failure doesn't exist. No one can give failure to you. Only you can like bestow it on yourself. So like getting used to doing what people think is failing by setting big goals, by missing them, but by making progress towards it on the way, like that totally is like the way one like lives and succeeds here. Where it's really hard is if your investors, if your partners, if whoever aren't in that mindset, like that's challenging. But like it's great to not accomplish what you set out to do and trust the process enough to like land in a better spot than you were before. And some of that also is like expectation settings when you do have, you know, the investors and that kind of thing. And Ariel, do you want to
But
add?
it's a really valid point though, is like you need to have to in order to live according to the way that Brett's talking, it takes a mindset shift and that takes a minute. You know, it's like with a lot of like limiting beliefs and like old programmings and things that we were, you know, been living with since childhood and like the understanding of what failure means and what is not. It's like, yeah, it's gonna take time to like be able to, you know, quote unquote, like not or fail, like not meet the mark and actually to feel okay about it, right? It's like a persistent and consistent thing, and that kind of like leads into one of the other questions that I saw over here, which was um, mm, okay, so here it's like pointers for how do you like prioritize goals based on this framework. So I'm not going to answer this question 100% right now, but one of the things that it was bringing up is like when you have certain like when you start to really like just create your values in your life, right? Then it that and you live according to what your values are, right? It's not just like, oh, I made my values for like my business and like I put them on the website and that's where they live and I never look at them again, right? It's like, no, this is like this is the way that I want to like live my life day to day. This is like the best version of myself that I'm working towards each and every day. And then when you apply that for your own personal life, that can ease so much more easily be moved into being from a business perspective. And I get how it can be a little bit more like convoluted if you're trying to like do that from a business perspective, but you're not even doing that within your own life. So it's like allow yourself as like an individual to live as the person that like is an exemplification of your business, right? Um, and then
Thank you so much.
yeah, no, thank you for that question. That was wonderful. Um, Brett, do you want to hop on to one of these questions here? I think we have another minute or two.
Yeah. So I think you just spoke to the prioritization one. I would just like add on that piece. I would say like the goal is to simplify. Like if you have a whole bunch of goals, like on a topic, you're in like 6, 7, 8, 9 plus. It's like, wait, are these really goals or are these becoming lots of outcome based, more like key result kind of things? So I would say like, yeah, the simplifying and using like values is one piece on that. The comment on stress management and vagus nerve, Rachel, I appreciate that. That's what we're going to be talking about at our next one. I'm trying to find what I don't know. Ariel, what questions are answered? I don't see any.
Wait, hold on. Okay, and Nico, I think this is why it's so important for startup entrepreneurs to be in love with the problem, not their initial solution. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, so I guess, and one more piece on the prioritization is like if you have your values, you know, like let's say integrity or like presence, stillness, I don't whatever it might be. It's like what are they kind of like how do you view like which ones are the most important to you, right? And if you kind of like place those kind of in order, it's like, all right, if integrity is the most important thing for me, like then I'm going to prioritize my goals around making sure that I show up in that specific way versus like if adventure is like the most important thing for me, right? Then it'll be around that. And honestly, like that's kind of how I would go through the process of, you know, if I just take a stab at it, like of going through, like if I have so many goals too, you know, it's like just see like what is your priority, like your true priority, not based on what other people think or tell you to do or what you should do or because of fear, right? All right, I think we're up on time here.
I think we are too. Thank you all so much.
Fortunately. We can
Do we
talk
have
about this for hours.
start out, close out, or do we just say goodbye?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Brett and Ariel. That was amazing. I feel very invigorated going into the new year, and I'm sure all the attendees do too. And thank you everyone for coming today and being such active participants. That always makes it great. And like they were mentioning, we're going to do another session of follow-up in April. We don't have the exact day yet, but if you want to keep up to date, you can sign up for StartOut's newsletter or keep an eye on our Eventbrite page. Those are the two places where you'll be able to sign up for that when it goes live. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for all your participation, really. And hopefully we'll see you guys in April.
Thanks, everyone.